Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Reloading Chat. And let's talk about the fact that with all these changes that have come, with Donald Trump coming in, with him talking about building the wall, changes in immigration, actually enforcing our immigration laws, all the deportations that have started, we've seen the president of Mexico get up and show himself and make a scene with people who've been deported back to Mexico, meeting with them. We've seen Mexico put out memos so that people who are illegally in this country, who are concerned about being deported, can have access to their embassies, or embassies are stepping up resources to help these people, to help them stay in the country, to find ways to not be deported when they are people who are here illegally. Now, I want people to think about that for a moment. Think about the fact that if the United States were to have people in another country that were there illegally, that it was offering support to, that its embassies were being given resources to help its citizens actually break the laws in another country, to be in that country illegally and find ways to continue to do so and drain that country's resources, but it were to actually have its embassies be giving out, publicly admitting information to people illegally in that country on how to illegally stay in that country, of how to break that country's laws, to help its citizens break another country's laws that they've come into. How would that be perceived around the world? There's a lot of countries that would perceive that very hostilely. There's a lot of countries that would start kicking American citizens out. All right, some countries would consider that to be an act of war. So let me ask you a question. When we have Mexico doing that, and it is publicly admitting and putting out memos publicly that it's offering resources to help its citizens break American laws, that we don't take that as an act of aggression against our country? We should, because it is an act of aggression against our country. They are helping those people to break our laws, to be here illegally. You know what else is interesting? That president, when he was asked by at least one person why he isn't willing to change things, he ducked the question. In other words, Mexico is not interested at all in making changes to its country that would have kept these people from wanting to leave. They're not interested in doing anything to keep their citizens from wanting to leave and come here illegally. You notice that? There's been no talk of that. How come their embassies aren't talking about that either? There's no talk from these embassies about, hey, how can we get you to come back to our country instead of being here illegally? We want you back. Hey, there's no talk of changing the things in that country that is making people want to leave. Their president isn't even willing to entertain that. He's not willing to talk about that. No one in the Mexican government's talking about that. They're only talking about how to stop the deportations from happening, to stop deportations of illegal immigrants. They're only talking about how to keep illegal immigrants from their country that they don't seem to want back. How to keep them in the United States illegally. That's all they're talking about. Why? That's a very good question. Why? Why are they so interested in it? Because it's financially beneficial to their country. Mexico's entire current economy is propped up, a large part of it, on getting money out of the United States. And I don't just mean with tariffs. Yeah, we've had everything with NAFTA and everything to where they're getting the better deal, meaning we have to pay to import stuff into their country and they don't have to pay to import stuff into ours. They're getting an amazing trade deal to where they get the trade benefits. That's caused a lot of American companies to go build plants down there to give them money. All right, they've benefited economically off of trade deals, but what else? There's two things going on with the immigration that are bringing them enormous sums of money. Number one, how many of the people who are here illegally are working and sending money down to Mexico? How much money gets sent through Western Union? How much money gets wired down to Mexico? How much cash gets carried down to Mexico? Enormous amounts. In fact, that's extremely common with these millions of illegal immigrants for them to work here and have families back in Mexico that they send part of their money to. Billions of dollars have been sent back to Mexico from the United States. Their country is getting an enormous economic boost in American dollars by their illegals coming over here, working and sending the money back to them. All right, by breaking our laws, their country is making money. All right, that's the biggest reason right there that their leader and their leadership, their president, isn't talking about changing anything. They're only concerned with keeping the people from being deported because they're making a fortune off of it. They're robbing us of money from our country, from our economy, to bolster their own with all this illegal immigration. It benefits them. If it didn't benefit them, they wouldn't care about keeping it. All right, they wouldn't care about keeping it so much, but it benefits them financially. They're making money off of it. Their leadership knows that. Number two, the drug cartels. All the drugs that you're buying here, that everyone buys on the streets here, all the weed, all the cocaine, all these other drugs that come across the border from the cartels. That is ultimately American dollars, big piles of American dollars being paid to the cartels that they are either taking back or people are coming across and buying it there. All the money the cartels make, all these wealthy cartels, people, some of them are like, wow, this family over here is worth $100 million. This one's worth so many millions of dollars. This one's worth $1 billion. Where do you think that money comes from? Why do they call it dollars instead of pesos? Because it's all American money. All those drugs that people are buying are being paid for in American dollars. The cartels are bringing piles of U.S. dollars back south to the border. When you see some of these hits, the DEA or other people have gone down there and hit some of these places, and you see the piles of cash they have. Oh, wow, we have $50 million in U.S. cash we found here. It's in Mexico. It's come across the border because of the illegal drug trade, which has, again, helped with the illegal flow of immigrants back and forth. All right, the drug trade is making enormous amounts of money, but it's not making pesos. It's making American dollars that are brought back down to Mexico, that are eventually circulated back into their economy, American dollars circulating down there. All right, our money is being exported down south to Mexico. And it's a lot of it. It could be upward of billions of dollars at this point that is coming across just because of the cartels. So people ask, well, why aren't these countries trying to make changes? Because they don't want to make changes. They don't want to stop the flow of illegal immigrants because it leads to multiple pathways for enormous amounts of cash, American dollars, to come back down across the border and bolster their economy. Our money is basically being stolen by this illegal immigration. It's not jobs. People talking about, oh, they took our job. That's not what's going on. They're not taking our jobs. They are taking our money and sending it down south. That's the real problem. And they're using it to artificially boost their economy with American dollars. See, that way they don't have to worry about cleaning anything up. They don't have to worry about making their country better. They don't have to worry about stopping the people that want to come over here. They're making a profit off of them. And here's the thing. It's about time that we end this. This is what Donald Trump is talking about ending. This is why they are terrified of a wall. That's why they're freaking out about a wall. They don't want to have to lose the money they have come in, and they don't want our money to be taken back. What we really ought to do, we ought to consider this an act of war. We ought to consider this an act of war, and when we build the wall, we should probably send teams down there to get our money back. That's what we really need to do. How about we start with the cartels? Maybe we should have our military drop in, reclaim all of our lost assets that are sitting down there after we build the wall. You know what? Mexico is almost declaring it's a hostile act against us for them to stand there and publicly admit that they're trying to help their citizens break laws in our country and be here illegally. They're more than happy to explain that they want that. They're fighting against any policy that will enforce the actual immigration laws, that will shut down the borders and will send their citizens back because they're making enormous amounts of money off of it. They're doing so by a hostile act against us, by breaking our laws, encouraging and facilitating their citizens to break our laws, and then they're robbing us at the same time. I'm sorry, that's a hostile act. And anyone who doesn't understand that, who doesn't see that, who sees any of that as some sort of racist issue instead of a very, very serious economic one, clearly isn't looking at what's going on. They're absolutely clueless as to what's actually going on there. This is an example of the Mexican government actually acting hostile against us and proving to us that they really aren't our friends. They're not our allies. They're behaving like an enemy. And they either need to change their tune and change the way they're doing things, or we need to start treating them like one. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.